Good morning, campers. I hope you're going well. What another big weekend. We've seen lots of activity across the entire country. Volumes are definitely on the rise, which is superb. Some great news down in Victoria with regards to restrictions. But firstly, my friends, I want to ask you, how are we getting on out of 10? Post your scores on the doors in the comment section below. Let us know how you're getting on out of 10. And if you are having any troubles, please fire any questions you have in the comment section, or you can send me an SMS 0451 085998. Yeah, an interesting, very, very interesting weekend. A couple of auctions that were set to go really, really well were a bit tougher than what we thought they would be. I think one thing that I've noticed as well is it's been a little bit harder to get that ball rolling with auctions. And then as soon as it does get rolling, it really starts to kick on. So we've had to adjust strategies a little bit just to try and make sure that people feel comfortable enough coming into the action, as opposed to getting freaked out and doing a runner. It's a very interesting dynamic, especially at the start of those auctions. It's been interesting. Make sure you post your scores out of 10. Let us know how you're getting on. We're only a couple of weeks away from Santa being making his trip and doing his deliveries, so really need to put the foot to the floor and focus on getting as much action as we can done, so that we can have a couple of days break and have that break sort of a little bit worry-free from, missing out and things like that. Because I know we're all trying to make up for lost ground, but if we can kick a few goals between now and December 25th, then at least we'll get to chill out for a couple of days. I think we all need that. I think we all need a bit of a chance to chill. So a bit of around the grounds for you. New South Wales dominates. Victorian numbers are on the rise and private sale volumes are healthy. Look, having a look at some of the scores here, Victoria 77%. We've ticked over the 500 auction mark, 523 auctions, which is really, really good. 1,500 private sales. New South Wales, though, the top performer comfortably. Really great results here. 84% clearance rate, 479 auctions, but 1,749 private sales. So well done to New South Wales brothers and sisters. Queensland, steady on the private sales, but a decent increase in success rate, heading up to 63%, which is really good. South Australia is 61%. WA and NT both knocking it out of the park with 100% clearance rates with 7 auctions between them. But really good on the private sale volume in Western Australia, heading over 600 comfortably. 665 sales across Western Australia last week, which is a really healthy figure. ACT dropping their game a little bit by their standards, obviously, 78%, but still steady. And Tassie's private sale numbers have increased quite nicely too, ticking to 234. It just goes to show there's plenty of action happening, gang, which is great. So we just got to make sure that we're taking advantage of as much of that action as possible, making sure that we're loading up our pipeline and getting our stock ready to fly as soon as we can in 2021. It's going to be a very, very quick start. So you don't want to get caught napping on the start line like what you may have done over the past few years, where you felt that you don't really have to get going until sort of early February or so. Telling you, my first auction's on the 16th of Jan. It is going to start really, really quickly. So you've got to make sure you're on your game. So that's why I'm saying, if we work really hard now, make sure we take a few days off, make sure we relax and recuperate and just give our brains and our minds a bit of a chance to sort of repair itself a little bit. Just get a little bit of pressure off yourselves, and then make sure you're back on that start gate ready to go when the gun goes off, all right? Because if you don't, you will get caught, you will get left behind, and that's not good for you and your business in 2021. You don't want to be feeling a sense of catch-up at the start of a new year. You've really got to push on. Now, Reidy's review is a new little one for you. And I think what I would want to point out is, just off my experiences over the course of the weekend and from agents and agencies that I work with, the big one is that auction times are very, very flexible now. which is amazing because it means we don't have to be restricted to the traditional times that we thought we had to stick to. That sort of 11 to 2 on a Saturday, it really isn't relevant now. One of the reasons is because buyers at the minute, they are more than happy to turn up as and when they need to. So as long as they're serious about it, they will turn up. It's no good saying, well, the buyers won't turn up if it doesn't happen, or if it's too early, if it's before 11 a.m. Look, if I was a buyer and I wanted to get something bought, I'd want it done first thing on a Saturday so I could go crack on with the rest of my day, instead of having my day eaten into by an auction, right? So we've got to make sure, gang, that we pay attention to our customers, because the other thing is those serious buyers that can't make it at that time, say whenever a case may be, if, heaven forbid it's not at 11 a.m. on a Saturday, we've got technology backing us up, which means that buyers aren't really too worried about whether they are there or whether they are not. Now, ideally, it'd be great to have them all there. But from my point of view, especially as an auctioneer, I would much rather make sure that I've just got people with money there, whether it's digitally or in person. It doesn't make a difference to me as long as we've got the action. So, gang, make sure that you take advantage of this really, really positive opening to just alter your diaries a bit, get more inspections done between that sort of 10 a.m. on a Saturday through to 2-3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, and then do your auctions in different times where you haven't got as much demand on your time. That would be my personal preference. For example, I did an auction in Nunawading, at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and it went crazy. It was the best auction of the day, of the weekend. We ended up having 5 bidders, 111K over reserve, no real drama, and plenty of people out to watch. And I'm pretty confident that that agency has picked up at least 2 or 3 listings off the back of that one auction. So, gang, you've got to think a little bit more outside the square and actually just take control of your diaries. Stop letting tradition dictate what you do, because it's irrelevant now. It is absolutely irrelevant. So, gang, make sure that you take a note of that one, because I'm not just saying this as an auctioneer, I'm saying this as an operator. I would want to make sure that my Saturday I've got way more time to get way more inspections done, and then act with the serious buyers at a time that suits me more. That would be a much better way to go, and it most likely is going to suit the buyers more anyway. I just don't understand. A buyer's psyche, I'd be way more annoyed if I had to wait till 12 o'clock to bid on an auction that I really wanted to buy, but I couldn't really do anything in the morning time. And then by the time the auction's done, if I've won, great, we'll celebrate. But if I haven't won, I'll be pissed off the rest of the day. So, and you've just ruined their Saturday. So I'd just have a think about that. And the other thing that we need to point out, again, Victorian real estate lockdown restrictions have eased once more, which is superb. Just to reiterate, offices are now open, but you've got to be careful about the number of people that are in the office. And that includes your consumers that are walking in from the streets. You've got to make sure that that volume does not exceed the 25% mark. All right, because if you do, you could be in trouble, especially if you're on the high street, because there'll be lots more eyes watching you. So, gang, be careful about that. Get your office fronts open, which is amazing. It's really good to feel like you're physically open, which is great. But just pay attention to the number of people you've got in your office at any one time. OFIs are now allowed. Masks aren't an absolute necessity. But I would say for people that are walking through properties, whether they're sales or rentals, you have still got to adhere to the 1.5 meter restrictions and the 1 person per 2 square meters. So if you are starting to feel the pinch with regards to volumes, ask if people have got a mask. But if they haven't got a mask, just take your time a little bit in terms of letting people in and out, because you will make people feel nervous if you let too many people in. Now, the other thing that I mentioned briefly last night, I would be asking landlords, vendors, or tenants, if you're on the rental side, tenants that are currently occupying, if they're okay with masks not being worn, because if they are a bit twitchy, if they're a bit nervous, especially vendors, right, then you don't want to heighten that level of anxiety by just ramming home OFIs down the throat because we get excited. Just pay attention to everybody else's sort of anxiety levels and emotions and feelings and sentiment towards the whole pandemic, right? Because if you've got particularly sensitive clients, they will still want to see masks. I can pretty much guarantee it. And if you don't even ask, if you don't have the courtesy of asking them how they would like people to, operate in their home, chances are you're probably going to just fracture that relationship between you and your client a little bit. So just be a little bit wary of that. Put a little asterisk on your OFI. Just make sure that you've been courteous with regards to your clients, both on the selling, the renting, and the buying side, just to make sure that they're cool without having masks on. All right, then, gang. Have yourselves an amazing week. Make sure you go into it with full of energy, full of vigor, full of positivity. And look, make sure that you understand what's going on in the news and the media with regards to state budgets, federal budgets, banks changing their opinions on recessions and all that sort of stuff, because you need that artillery. I heard a couple of times while I was calling auctions, a few buyers, for some reason, still believing that the market has changed in their favor when it clearly hasn't. But they ain't just going to take your word for it. You need to give them real data, statistics, knowledge, information. If I were you, I'd get a cool little tip. Get a couple of little news articles, set up like links, set up on a notes page of your notes on your phone, and just have them there ready to be able to show people. Say, look, here's your latest news article from the AFR saying that the ANZ are now suggesting that there's going to be a 2021 rise. If you just have that information, that ammo there, especially if you're doing an auction, it will mean that logic will win. You can't argue with logic. So just have that logic ready to go on your phone, on your notes section. A cool little tip there. All right, gang, you have yourselves an awesome week. Take care. Stay safe, stay healthy. Most importantly, stay happy and go rock and roll.